All right, so this might be slightly controversial, but I think if you're in your first year of lifting and you don't yet have a lot of muscle mass, you definitely should not be worried about having a visible six pack or maintaining a visible six pack. I think that's just going to hold you back tremendously. And let me explain it. I think once I do, it's going to make a lot more sense. So I'm going to guess that if you're getting started lifting weights, your goal is to get jacked and to get jacked as quickly as possible. But think about what you need to do in order to get jacked, and think about what you need to do in order to get a visible six pack or in order to maintain a visible six pack. If you think about it, they really are sort of opposite paths, right? So in order to get jacked, if you don't have a lot of muscle, you need to be in a calorie surplus, and you probably want to be in a calorie surplus for a long time. That's the best way to put on muscle as quickly as possible. You also want to be at a reasonable body fat percentage. So you probably want to be anywhere between, say, 12 to 18 or 20% body fat in order to be making good gains in the gym, right? If you're too fat, if you're obese, that's going to hold you back in the gym. But also if you're too lean, if you're shredded single-digit body fat as a natural lifter, that's also going to hold you back in the gym. So you want to be reasonable body fat percentage where perhaps your abs are not yet visible as a beginner, but also you want to be in a surplus for a long time. Now, if you want to reveal your abs, well, that's the complete opposite. You need to be in a deficit, probably for a long time, several weeks, if not several months, in order to actually lean down enough to reveal your abs. And if you haven't trained your abs much, you actually have to get really quite lean in order to see them or to maintain them. You might have to be single-digit body fat percentage, like 8%, 10%, in order to actually show your abs as a beginner because you haven't built them up yet. So these are two completely different paths. And I think as a beginner, if you're in your first year, just don't worry about showing your abs. Worry about putting on as much mass as you can. You're going to be making fantastic gains in your first year if you're lifting right and eating a lot. Simply don't worry about your six pack in your first year. Worry about that in your second year, in your third year, and beyond. Once you actually have a base, you have a decent amount of muscle on your frame, then you can cut down and reveal that six pack, right? So, a couple other things. When you're a beginner and you haven't actually trained your abs. By the way, in this video, at no point am I saying that beginners should not train their abs. I just want to make that very clear. I think you should train your abs from day one. They're a really important muscle group, and if you train them, they will look way better once you actually cut down. So definitely don't take this advice and think that I'm saying don't train your abs. Do train your abs. Just don't worry about showing them for the first year, right? You need a bit of patience here. So once you're a beginner and you haven't trained your abs yet, once you actually show your abs, they might not actually look that great. So you might have sort of the outline of the abs, but they'll be flat, right? Because you haven't trained them yet. You don't have a lot of mass there. Whereas, if you've trained them for a year or two, then the abs will bulge out more. You'll get more of that 3D look, that like washboard abs look. It'll look way better. And it will reveal itself actually at a higher body fat percentage. So me, at the moment, I'm in the middle of a bulk. I'm quite fluffy. I might be 18% body fat right now, but I have visible abs. I weigh 80 kilos. Now, I could lose 4 or 5 kilos and my abs would go from just a visible six pack to actually like a fantastic looking six pack, which you could see even if I'm not flexing in any lighting. If I was 75 kilos, you would see my six pack, in any condition, even if I'm not flexing, even if I'm not trying to show it to you, it would be there. But I would still weigh 75 kilos. And that's because I have a decent amount of muscle on my frame and I can be a normal adult weight and have a six pack. Whereas if you're a beginner, you don't have much muscle, well, guess what? If you want to have a six pack, you might have to be 60 kilos or 65 kilos. If I wanted to have a six pack 4 years ago, I would have had to be 60 kilos, a tiny individual. And, let's face it, unless you're really short, if you're a normal height like me, you probably don't want to weigh 60 kilos or 65 kilos. That's not jacked. That's just small, right? So if you want to be jacked, you want to be big, you want to have a six pack, then don't actually worry about seeing the six-pack until year 2 or year 3. That's my advice to you. I think it's actually going to be very useful if you implement it. And let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.